Hi everyone, and welcome to the screencast on conflict theories. Conflict theorists being feminist theorists and also Marxist theorists. What we're going to explore today is what are the different types of feminism and what do they actually understand about the society, how it works, and what are the perspectives. We're going to look at what Marxist ideology is and what they believe, and how the conflict theories explain how society operates in a whole. Obviously, we're going to come up with for and against for this, and obviously this is going to help us with our ideas about how conflict theorists, Marxists and feminists, disagree with the functionalist approach to the family. Right, feminist theory, first of all, they hold a very critical view of the family and the way that the family is in terms of functional and also the nuclear aspect of family. They believe that family, the way that's set up, is very oppressive to women. That means women are held back. They aren't allowed to do things, that they're not equal, and that they are very much geared towards men and being servants of men. As I said, they believe that it's unequal, it's unfair. We don't get the same opportunities as women as men do, and they don't get the same pay and the same chances within the workforce as men. And they also look at the violence that's attached to it. Okay, roles and responsibilities. Think about functionalism. If a man who believes his function is to be the breadwinner and the woman's is to be the caregiver and the homemaker, and those roles aren't fulfilled, and feminists say that a lot of things happen within that to be create conflict and violence. Key to this, there's actually more than one type of feminist viewpoint, and we're going to look at those, and they don't all agree, funnily enough. First one that we're going to look at is liberal feminism, and they're concerned with equal rights and equal opportunities, such as equal pay. Now, what sets liberal feminists apart from a lot of the other feminists is that they actually do see and acknowledge that there's been a great gradual improvement over the years, and that people's attitudes are changing towards women, and through changes in the law, such as the Sex Discrimination Act and also the Equal Pay Act, they outlawed discrimination in employment, so women are actually given an opportunity. They believe, though, that there obviously needs to be more reforms and changes in attitudes, especially around socialisation. Children are taught at an early age, and also later on through the media, that a woman's place is in the household, and that a man goes out and works and gets all of brings the money into the house. That things are never really going to change if we're socialised in that way, and that can be done through changes in primary socialisation, but also changes in how the media portray families. It's very similar to a theory of the march in progress, such as Young and Wilmot, who we've discussed a bit, and we will look at a little bit later on. But they believe that full gender equality is not being achieved yet, and there's still a way to go on that. And a lot of that is down to how parents socialise their sons and daughters. They gain criticism from other feminists, especially radical feminists. Now, radical feminists say that the family is very much geared around patriarchy. That means ruled by men for men, and that men are the enemy. They are definitely the enemy. They're the source of women's oppression, and also men exploit women, so men are the enemy. They say that family and marriage are the key institutions in a patriarchal society. Without family and without marriage, women wouldn't be oppressed as much. Basically, family and marriage are set up, they benefit from women, but they dominate women. Okay, so society gets a lot from women, but women don't get a lot back. They are dominated by society. So, in a nutshell, but radical feminists believe that family is the root. Okay, it needs to be abolished. So, without removing family, we basically are, we're just keeping that going. Radical feminists believe in a few things. Okay, so something that you would come across is this term political lesbianism. Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean lesbianism the way that you think, in terms of being in love with another woman or being in a partnership with another woman. You can be heterosexual, okay, but you are making a choice of not being in with a man because they are the enemy. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily mean that you fancy women or that you're in love with a woman. It just means that you identify that men are bad, so through choice you don't want to be heterosexual. Germaine Greer is a feminist who argues that if we have a creation of an all-female or what is called matrilocal, so all-female household, that's an alternative. We don't need to be in a relationship to be secure. We don't need to be in a relationship to be happy. If we live in a house with just women and we provide for each other and we look after each other, then everything's all right. We don't need men to help us. We don't need to be in love. We don't need to be in a sexual relationship to be happy. However, a liberal feminist, Jenny Somerville, argues that radical feminists fail to see any improvements being made. So all of these improvements in terms of the Sex Discrimination Act in 1975, etc., Somerville basically says that, you know, these radical feminists aren't seeing anything else. They're not seeing anything, you know, better access to divorce or better job opportunities. They're not seeing anything that. They're just looking in the past. Okay, the next one that we're going to look at is Marxist feminists. Okay, they say that there's an inequality within the household, and that's caused by capitalism. Not necessarily men and them being oppressive, but through, you know, the capitalism, and the oppression comes from the fact that we need to serve capitalist societies. So Marxist feminists believes that women are put in a family basically to reproduce the labour force. So without reproduction, without having kids, we can't promote the labour force, we can't enforce it, we can't enhance it, we can't reproduce it. And it's done through primary socialisation as well. We are teaching our kids at a young age that this is the way things are. You know, the boy goes off to work, and if daddy works in a certain factory or job, then we teach them through primary socialisation that that's the norm and that's the way it should be. Marxist feminists also believe that women absorb anger. Okay, Fran Ansley, 1972. You will remember this phrase for some reason. We should include swear words in just about every phrase that we do in sociology. I reckon you'll get an A star. But women are the takers of shit. Okay, so men who are in a badly paid job or a low end job, they come home and they basically vent their frustrations on women. So women are the takers of shit. And Fran Ansley goes on to say that this explains domestic violence to a certain extent. Marxist feminists also believe that women are a reserve army of cheap labour. So when the extra work is needed, then women are allowed to do it, and they will do it cheaper than men. And that this, Marxist feminists believe that this oppression comes from a link with working class exploitation. So Marxists believe that the working class are exploited. Marxist feminists believe that within that exploited working class there's women who are exploited and oppressed. So they're even lower down in the ranking. Right, the final feminist branch that we're going to look at is difference feminism. Okay, now what we've really looked at so far is the idea that these women live in a nuclear conventional family and they all share the same kind of ideas. Well, difference feminists don't actually say that that's the case, and we can't really generalize about women's experience. So for instance, you know, not all women's experiences are the same. So a lesbian or heterosexual woman experience different kind of feminist issues and oppression, and that white and black women, middle class and working class, etc., experience different experiences and different issues. So we can't all presume that everyone comes from a conventional nuclear family. An example of this is black feminists, and black feminists actually see the family as a positive thing, and it offers support and resistance against racism. So whereas a white feminist might be more bothered about the oppression within the household, a black woman's experience is mainly a racial oppression, and that the family actually offers a positive thing. Others dispute this argument and say that women share many of the same experiences when compared with men, and that they face greater risk of domestic violence, assault, low pay, etc., etc. So it doesn't necessarily matter what your experience and your background is, you still face the same kind of oppression from men. Okay, obviously we're going to have some criticisms of this feminist perspective. Liberal feminists are often criticised for failing to challenge the underlying cause of women's oppression, so they're looking more at the future and the positive things. They're not actually recognising what the issue was in the first place. Radical feminists would be criticised by Jenny Somerville, and that they say that, you know, radical feminists don't see how things have improved that much. Jenny Somerville will say that they just are set in the past and they don't actually look forward, and therefore it's a very dated view and a very dated argument. We're also forgetting the fact that most women want to spend time with men, so heterosexual women want to be with men. So this idea that Jermaine Greer came up with about political lesbianism and matrilocal societies, it's not really going to work that much, because most women want to be with men and they might want to marry them and have children together, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to be a victim of oppression.